Hello, everyone. Welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Pretty quick video today. What I'm going to cover is something that's going on in Minnesota right now. Everyone knows what's going on. Riots over the death of George Floyd, who was murdered on camera by 4 Minnesota police officers. One knelt on his neck. The others were on his body. There's 2 officers that were on his body, one on his legs, and the other one was standing around preventing people from intervening because they were effecting an arrest over a $20 bill that may or may not have been forged. And this happens all the time. The murders happen, the police escalation of the incident happens, and people being murdered over very minor things. But here's the stupid thing. People are being murdered by law enforcement officers left and right, or former law enforcement officers, or white supremacists, and we see outrage, which is great. We actually love to see outrage, to the point where we end up seeing people marching in the streets. We love the outrage, but here's what we don't love. People can be mad as hell. In fact, I would encourage people to arm themselves, go grab those 4 officers out of their homes, or the former officers now, out of their homes, and hang them from the nearest thing that you can hang them from. I endorse that. What I don't endorse is people going into businesses, and I totally understand the rage. Totally understand being angry and feeling like you have no power to do anything. But vandalizing and looting from businesses that are in that community does not make sense. If you were to vandalize and loot the police station, that is something worth doing. That would indicate that the people of Minnesota have reached a point where they are not going to tolerate blatant racism in their law enforcement ranks. They're not going to tolerate murder from government Gestapo SS soldiers. And they're not going to tolerate the status quo of officers getting away with pretty much everything, including murder, and there being no justice for the family. Now, here's what should happen. One, unfortunately, the taxpayers are going to take a hit for the death of George Floyd. It's going to happen. But it shouldn't come on to the taxpayers. They should liquidate the pensions of the 4 former officers, the police chief, and the Fraternal Order of Police in Minnesota. Loot their coffers, take every ounce of money that they have personally, their assets, their houses, everything from them. They're not just doing their job. That didn't work for the Nazis. It's not going to work for our police. And take everything from them. If the police just went on an expense parade and got tanks and shit like that, take their assets, liquidate them. Take everything that department owns and make it non-existent. Make it to where the county sheriff has to step in and actually do their job and be the responsible law enforcement body in the area. And I would encourage every city PD out there, whether you're in Minnesota, whether you're in Michigan, I don't care what state you're in. I do not care. If you're going to continue to kill people, people are getting more and more pissed. We're getting more and more poor due to COVID. And there are people out there that have reached the point where almost anything lawless is going to be justifiable to them as long as it's happening to you. And there are officers out there that are doing the right thing. Are they testifying against their brothers? No. But there are officers out there that are getting fired for advocating for the Constitution. There are officers out there that are getting fired for calling a spade, especially when they see bad officers doing bad shit. Christopher Dorner was one of those officers who called officers out for their misbehavior, ended up getting fired, and ended up being hunted down by LAPD for taking up arms against them, which any citizen has the right to do. Any citizen in Minnesota, if you ever get a hold of this film, this footage, I'm just letting you know that it is perfectly okay for you and your fellow citizens to arm up to the teeth and go after those officers. I would encourage you to eliminate the entire city government. I would encourage you to do everything in your power to make sure that the government, your city government, your state government knows that the people will no longer stand for this kind of tyranny and this kind of bullshit. And it should only take one life, but it's taken many, many lives over the course of many, many years to get to this point where we're just fed the fuck up with law enforcement. We just are. We've had it up to here. We're done. And I fear for people because nothing will change unless there is a bloody massacre of law enforcement officers that affects all the other departments across the nation, and they should have that same fear. In fact, the American people outnumber and outgun every law enforcement agency in the country. We even outnumber and outgun our military. That should tell you something. We may not outgun them as far as their high-end play toys, but we outgun them with bodies. We outgun them with people and power. So I'm okay with the looting, the rioting, and everything like that, as long as it's the government agencies, as long as it's the city department, town hall, the city's employees. Yeah, I mean the mayor's home, the officers' houses, the police chief's houses, all of them, fair game. Whatever happens to them, I don't feel bad for. Going after private businesses, though, and mom and pop shops and gas stations and Targets and shit like that, no, that's dumb as fuck. Now, I do get the sense that, yes, people only got, maybe some people got the $1,200 check. I'm not saying everybody did. Some people in that community did get the $1,200 check from the government. But there was never a rent halt, mortgage halt. There was never a call to tell businesses to say, hey, don't collect on people, they don't have it. There was never that issue. That nobody ever did that for the American people in any state, period. So do I feel bad about people going into a large big box store like Target and taking, things that they may need, like food, supplies, things like that? Nope, don't feel fucking bad for you at all. In fact, if you're a business that has been affected by this, and just think about what your business practices were. Did you let people go during this crisis? You probably did. Did you bar people from entering your establishment because they weren't wearing a mask and gloves? You probably did. So you're not innocent by any stretch of the imagination in getting the kind of shit that you're getting now during the riot. You're not. However, it is not a smart idea to destroy the community in which you live in, because that's still the community in which you live in. So don't shit where you eat. When it comes to law enforcement and government employees, they are expendable and replaceable. Kill those motherfuckers in droves. Go after their families. Go after their livelihood. Loot every coffer they have. But stop fucking with the businesses. Because eventually, your dumb ass is going to go back to that Target. And they're going to catch you slipping without a mask, and you're going to get arrested. If you don't think that shit happens, it does, because somebody somewhere will recognize you, and they have teams of people who have loads of fucking time to pick out people that they know on that film. And they will call out to the community. And there are people that are willing to take a $500 bonus. Like if they're especially if there's money, a reward involved, they will take that money over your face any day of the week. They may not know you on a personal level. They may just want money. So don't fuck around and get caught up in a system, in a situation you don't have to. Okay. Anyways, thank you for tuning into David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Have a great day.